Hello gamers, today I am continuing my playthrough of all the Life is Strange games, with the next game in the series, Life is Strange Before the Storm, which was developed by Deck 9, a change of teams from Life is Strange's Don't Nod. Before the Storm is a game that takes place 2 years before Life is Strange 1, with Max still being in Seattle. Chloe has been left alone with no friends and still deeply affected by her father's passing. But before we look into that, I feel it's important that I quickly make some comments on the game as a whole. Some things I feel it did better than others, maybe others not so much. And the first thing I want to talk about is what I personally see as a massive improvement from the previous game, and that is the controls. More specifically, how you select the choice that you want to make. In one, it was the mouse direction, so you'd flick the mouse in the direction of the choice you want to make, and half the time I would just end up missing the hitbox. However, in Before the Storm they have changed the mouse flick to the classic WASD keys. Or, for those of you who aren't, I don't know, who didn't understand what I just said, I guess, WASD keys, which is a very small thing, but at least for me it's a massive improvement, especially as it's something they didn't really need to change, but since I had an issue with it in the first game, I feel like they personally changed it for me, even though I'm playing this game like almost a decade after it first came out. But unfortunately, something I don't have such a fondness for is the bugs that I ran into throughout the game. Mainly in the third episode and the bonus episode. The lesser of the bugs I ran into was subtitles not lining up with what's being said by the characters on screen, which isn't really that bad to be honest. I'm pretty sure that it also happened in Life is Strange 1, but I just didn't realise. The only reason I comment on it for this game is because it was accompanied with another bug that made this game a lot harder to play, and that is the fact that sometimes people just wouldn't say their lines and the game would just go mute and softlock. Now this only happened once or twice, and the only time it was really bad was in the bonus episode. It just wasn't ideal. I think I had to relaunch for the one in the final bonus episode. But the final bug wasn't a game-breaking bug, just something that annoyed me, and that was in some cutscenes white orbs would appear on the screen and blink in and out of view for a little bit of time, which was a massive annoyance and an eyesore, but luckily didn't really affect the game too much. Now there is a chance that I could have changed a setting to fix this, but at the point that it happened within the episode, it was the last episode and it was very close to the end of that episode, so I just didn't really bother. Also, of course, all bugs are hardware dependent. We don't have the same hardware, we may not see the same bugs. I'm sure there are people out there who played the first ever release of Cyberpunk and didn't experience any bugs. Now personally, I think those people would be lying to you, but there is a chance they exist out there. So bugs are very much a at your own discretion sort of thing. But that's enough about bugs, it's time to talk about the story, and to keep it less complex for me when it comes to editing, I'm going to start with the episode that I played last, as it takes place first in the timeline, that being the bonus episode Farewell, which takes place on the day that we have visited before within the Life is Strange universe. That being the day that Chloe's dad passed away. Which, since it takes place on a day that we have been to before, that means we have some extra comments to make. But first, what do we do on this day? The episode starts off with Chloe and Max playing with a bomb and some Barbies in Chloe's bedroom, with us playing as Max in this episode, and we are trying to tell Chloe that we are moving away to Seattle. However, unable to do so whilst cleaning her room, as Chloe finds an old book that holds secrets from Chloe and Max's pirate days. But from that book there is a map marking hidden treasure, so the girls have a bit of a hunt to go on. as Chloe is sent to the garage to find a telescope and Max is sent to the attic to find a pirate amulet. After both achieving their goals, they meet back up in the garden to find the booty they buried many moons ago. After digging it up, they find a time capsule that Chloe's father dug up after them to put in a better box to make sure it would survive, so that they are able to find it all these years later. And after taking this box inside and checking it out, Max finally tells Chloe that she is moving. Luckily, however, Chloe already knew, as her parents told her. And even more luckily for Max is the fact that Chloe is cool with it, and of course she knows that they will still be friends forever and will stay in contact, which I'm sure happens and don't have any external knowledge that disproves that. After that convo, Chloe's mum arrives home with a police officer, as her dad has just been killed in the infamous car crash. As Chloe and her mum cry together, Max stands in shock in the corner. So what is the main issues with this episode? Well, it doesn't quite make sense with what we know about this day, down to more simple things like Chloe and Max's clothing not matching the flashback from Life is Strange 1, to more important things like as they blow up the dolls in Chloe's bedroom, Chloe says that her mum is probably listening to loud music whilst cooking in the kitchen, when her mum should be out at the diner working. And Chloe, Max and William should have already made breakfast before William left to go to see Chloe's mum. But yet they were talking about what they were going to have for breakfast within the episode. For something that should be such an important anchor within the Life is Strange universe, it just seems a bit odd they would get so many things wrong about it. But don't get it twisted, this is a very good farewell episode for the relationship of Max and Chloe at the time, ending with William's funeral and Max leaving the same day, and of course it's still very sad. Anyways, that's enough of bonus content. It's time to flash forward to the start of the main story, with Chloe being a 16-year-old trying to come to terms with what is left of her life. No Max, no dad, and her mum moving on from William to a new boyfriend. Chloe, not knowing how to feel, does what so many other teens do and starts to rebel. With this episode starting with Chloe sneaking out to go to a concert by a band called Firewalk, who are playing out of a abandoned mill owned by a drug dealer named Damien, who is a friend of Frank's, whose RV we see outside of the mill. However, there is a guard at the door and Chloe does not find another way in, so she needs to confront the guard and convince him to let her into the mill. This is where the players, aka us, are introduced to what Chloe's power is. Now of course she doesn't have any superpowers like Max, however, and this is like her alternative to time travel / rewind, she can argue kind of well if you pick the right options. Every time she starts an argument with someone, it puts you into a mini game where you have to pick the right comment in order to win. And you need to get so many right comebacks in a row to win. Chloe in general needing more points than her opponent to win such an argument. And this power can be pretty fun. I do remember other games using the same sort of system for arguments, however I can't think of them at the moment. But anyways, Chloe gets into the mill and after talking to Frank and buying some weed from him, Chloe tries to make her way into the mosh pit, but is pushed from the behind into someone else spilling their beer. After apologising, Chloe then goes up some sketchy looking stairs to find a platform to view the band from. But the guy from the spilled beer shows up and well, he's less than impressed and he's there to hurt her. But luckily, Chloe gets a chance to escape and run away, as they are distracted by the arrival of Rachel Amber, the popular / beautiful girl from Chloe's school, Blackwell. Someone Chloe has never really talked to before. However, after getting away from the guys, Chloe and Rachel spend the rest of the Firewalk gig together. One thing I want to quickly add here is that I think this game may have been a lot better if you played as Rachel, but I'll circle back to that eventually. After the rager of a night, Chloe wakes up just in time for David, her mum's new boyfriend, to have to take her to school. Upon arriving, she gets the option to play a D&D minigame, which I enjoyed the shit out of. But after the session, Chloe goes into the school where Rachel greets her as the theatre kids are preparing for a show on the weekend, which Rachel is a part of. After getting pulled into the class by Rachel and after getting changed, Rachel convinces Chloe to ditch school, which didn't take much effort at all from Rachel to convince Chloe, where they gain access to a moving cargo train and go right to a park, where Rachel recommends playing a viewfinder game, where they look at people through a viewfinder and basically judge them, which the two enjoy very much. But then after a couple kissing, Rachel gets mad and storms off after stealing a bottle of wine from some picnic goers, where Rachel says that last couple, well, the man was her father and the girl was not her mother, we'll put it that way. And after they walk down the train tracks to a junkyard, they get into a bit of a fight where Rachel storms off as Chloe angrily starts smashing stuff around the yard, until she sees her dad's car, which sends Chloe into a bit of a state, ending with her falling asleep crying in the seat of the car, where we get a bit of a dream segment for Chloe and her dad, driving, having a good time till the car gets hit, awakening Chloe, where we head back to the park to find Rachel, who's crying at the tree where they saw her dad. Rachel then starts a fire in anger, and then she yells at the fire, and the fire proceeds to massively pick up the intensity from Amber's yelling, ending the first episode. And I know this scene, along with a later one, is given for a reason that people believe Chloe has powers like Max or Alex, or whatever the hell the kid's name is from Life is Strange 2. Some form of fire or weather powers, but it's unclear if she truly does within the story. After going home the next day, the next episode starts with Chloe, her mum, and Rachel and her parents in Principal Wells' office talking about wagging the previous day of school. And after some debate, Chloe takes the fall for Rachel and takes all the blame, so Rachel is still able to take part in the school play, something as mentioned before that Rachel is very passionate about, and also having a lead role within the play. However, a massive downside is that Chloe gets expelled from Blackwell, which leads to Chloe, her mum and David getting into a massive fight in the car park, where Chloe finds out that apparently David is moving in, and then Chloe runs off after David forces her to empty her pockets so that David can take her drugs, her cigarettes and whatever money she would have. Chloe then runs off, going to the junkyard to hang out and attempt to fix a truck that doesn't look too bad there, in an attempt to repair the truck so that Chloe and Rachel can drive out of town and leave together. After working on the car for a bit, Rachel shows up at the yard whilst they sit in the cab of the currently not working truck and have a bit of a self-therapy session, as they get to know each other a bit better. Whilst having the chat, Chloe gets a text from Frank saying that they need to meet up, and as Rachel leaves to go to the play, then Frank shows up a little bit later with the girl that Chloe saw under the tree, leaving Frank's RV. After grilling Frank, Chloe learns that her name is Sarah, and that is all, however, that Frank will tell her, as Frank needs Chloe to go into the Blackwell dorms to steal money from Drew, a football jock, as he sells drugs for Frank and Damon. And Drew, well, he hasn't been paying up his part of the deal, has he? So Chloe gets into the dorms and searches Drew's room, finding the money when Mikey, Drew's brother and the kid you play D&D with, and Drew himself shows up at the room. But before Drew is able to protest too much, Chloe ends up being given the job to protect Mikey and hide in the dorm as Damon's voice bellows through the halls, telling Chloe to stay in the dorm room and protect Mikey as he goes out there to confront the angry drug dealer, telling him that he doesn't have the money, and since Chloe stays with Mikey in the room, there is no one to stop Damon as he beats on Drew's leg, injuring his knee severely to the point where he has to go to hospital. However, Chloe did find the money and does currently have the money. Damon and Frank seemingly are not on the same page on this part, as obviously Frank sent Chloe in, and Frank is still actively waiting to get the money from Chloe. Unfortunately for Frank, however, Chloe gets delayed on her way to meet up with him as she goes to see Rachel as the play is about to start. However, one of the actresses, Juliet, is stuck in traffic due to the road closures because of the aforementioned raging fire that Rachel started, which is getting more and more out of control by the day, so Rachel convinced Chloe to take her role till she gets back there, where I spent a good 10 to 15 minutes reading the lines so that I could not fail when I am prompted to go with the right line. And I was going good for the first couple choices of what line you're meant to say. Chloe was going to be the best goddamn actress on that stage. And whilst I was doing so well, Rachel then decides to go off script so that her and Chloe could have a romantic moment during the play.
Nay, this most of all I will not grant.
That's not her line, is it? What's going on?
But thou assured my freedom, didn't thou?
I never said how dearly I hold thee. My habit's been to keep my soul well draped. Most loyal spirit, companion, and friend, is acting in my service not replete with excitement, amusement, and delight?
Of course, mistress. Most truly it is so.
Mr. Keat, they're way off script. It's magical.
Then why, I pray you, wish you to be free?
Excitement's a mere counterfeit of bliss. These storms and these adventures.
Like, what the hell, game? Why did I even bother learning the lines? But anyways, after the play, Chloe checks her phone and it seems that the plan is to meet Frank tomorrow as he has been battered off by the security guards. So Rachel and Chloe go out for a midnight walk and talk about running away together to the point where they go to Rachel's house to pack a bag. But before they are able to, they have to sit down and have dinner. And well, it does not go well to say the least. The family starts to argue about the woman Rachel saw her father kissing. And then Rachel's dad, mum and Chloe get into a massive yelling debate as Rachel sits there as a candle flame between the camera and her. Maybe adding to the idea that she controls flames somehow. Anyways, as the candle burns, she then has had enough and slams a bowl into the glass table, smashing it, where she yells at her dad to be normal for once instead of a politician. And this is when he lets down his walls and tells Chloe the truth that the woman is Rachel's birth mother, which is obviously shocking to the two girls, as Rachel thought Rose, Dad's wife, was her birth mother, as that's what they had told her. But anyways, the episode fades to black, but before we start the final episode, I also haven't mentioned yet, that line about Rachel's dad's being a politician is because he is the district attorney for Arcadia Bay, and his name is James. I don't know how important that is, but I feel you should know it, which is also obviously why Rachel said the politician line. But anyways, onwards, episode 3 opens with James explaining the whole story to Rachel, with Chloe there the whole time to help her process it, hearing that her mother was an addict, and left James with Rachel. After hearing the story, Rachel goes to her room where Chloe comforts her for the night. After awakening, Rachel still wants to run away, so a plan is hatched. Chloe heads home to pack her bags, and also dyes her hair with a streak of blue, getting closer to the more iconic Chloe we know in Life is Strange 1. And then with a brief run-in with her mother and David, Chloe makes her way to the junkyard to finish repairing the truck, and Rachel will meet her there. Also, whilst repairing the truck, Frank texts saying that they still need to meet up and talk about the night before. So without really thinking about it or, the consequences of her actions, Chloe tells Frank to meet her at the junkyard from the day before. Then Rachel shows up as Chloe gets the truck up and running. After hanging out for a bit more, Frank shows up at the yard, but he is not alone as Damon is in tow. And he is not a happy chappy at all. He may even be described as a little bit irritated or perhaps even pissed off, being argumentative and trying to start a fight, something that Frank seems to not also be on board with. As Chloe tries to calm Damon down, Rachel then comes out with the amazing idea of smashing him over the head with a plank, doing not enough damage to knock Damon out, but enough to enrage him even more, who charges at Rachel, stabbing her with a knife in the arm. Frank jumps on Damon to get him to stop, yelling at Chloe to get out of there. Chloe helps Rachel into the freshly repaired truck and rushes her off to hospital. Chloe then spending several hours in the waiting room, not knowing anything, just watching the people go by until James comes in and says that Rachel is out of surgery and is just about to wake up. On her way to see Rachel, Chloe donates all the money she has on her, the money stolen from Drew, and donates it to the firefighters that are actively fighting the fire that she had a role in starting. And then Chloe also overheard some firefighters saying that the fire just magically went out. It did not look like it was going to go out. It didn't look like it was going to go out for a very long time. Then it magically just stopped at the same time as Rachel was stabbed, adding even more, at least in my mind, to the theory that Rachel does have some kind of power over the fire. If not all fire, but just that fire that she started whilst in an emotional rage. Or that somehow when the fire started, it connected to her. And it calmed when she got put under for surgery, or maybe when she got knocked out, or something along those times. After stopping in, however, to see how Drew is doing, Chloe finally sees Rachel. After talking for a bit, Rachel says that she really wants to meet her birth mother, who they believe is still in town somewhere. Rachel believes that her dad must know more than he is leading on, so Rachel sends Chloe back to the Amber family household with a code to her dad's office, whilst keeping her dad at the hospital, giving Chloe ample time to search the office for any information on Sarah. Arriving at the house, Chloe gains access into the office, being a home office for the district attorney, James Amber, as it turns out James had hired Damon to kidnap and get rid of Sarah, something Chloe finds after a little bit of sleuthing, using a combination of money and burying and destroying evidence to help Damon out. So Chloe finds a burner, tries to get Damon to tell where Sarah is. After burning the evidence and giving up an identity of a rat within the Damon drug organization, and after jumping through all those hoops, Damon tells Chloe, masquerading as James, that Sarah has been captured and they are keeping her at the mill from the start of the game. Something that Chloe knew that was Damon's hideout and maybe could have put 1 and 2 together without destroying important evidence, but anyways, not important. After a quick drive up to the mill with Ghost Dad giving ghost commentary, Chloe goes into the mill, finding Sarah tied down as Damon is about to inject her with heroin, which she has been clean from for quite a while now. As Chloe steps in, saying that she has the money from James, a fight between the two starts when an injured Frank reappears to save Chloe again, fighting off into the distance as Chloe blacks out, waking up in a chair across from the very much high Sarah, with not a sight of Frank or Damon, where after a short but sweet talk, Sarah says it's best that she leaves and doesn't meet with Rachel, with Chloe returning to the hospital to break the news that Sarah had already gone. And with that, the game ends, fading to black on another chapter of the stories of Arcadia Bay. So, what did I think of Before the Storm? Well, I didn't like it as much as I liked LIS 1, however, there are aspects of the game that I think is better than Life is Strange 1. Apart from the controls, which could have been I could have fixed by playing on controller, but the big thing is that by reading the choices the player base made during the final episodes, and the fact that it seems like the decisions have a larger impact on the story. For example, you can donate $1,250 to the local firefighters, which means keeping the money that you steal at the start of the game from the very first concert, which requires not spending it on weed like I did, or I assume not letting David steal it from you as he searches your pockets, and then keeping it all the way up until that last chapter to donate it all, which at this point 0% of players have done according to the statistics they show you at the end of every episode. And then there is the biggest outcome during the game, and that is if Rachel meets her mother or not. And I can see many options that could make this happen throughout the game. Like maybe if you give Damon the money in the hallway, he won't be at the junkyard, or if you give him the money at the junkyard, Rachel doesn't end up in hospital. Who knows? I may have to replay the game and try to get another ending and see how it changes. But I like how I can physically see in my mind how different actions would affect the outcome of the game. Unlike in Life is Strange 1, but at the same time I still feel I can relate more to Max than Chloe, and I personally think that you should have played as Rachel during this game, as Chloe will still end up in the same place mentally and physically at the start of Life is Strange 1. Like it's a prequel, she needs to get there. Like Anakin needs to become Vader, we know it happens, we just don't necessarily know how. But either way, I feel both games are well and truly worth playing, and I just like that I could see how these decisions go. Like, if you pay off Damon in the hallway or in the junkyard, does Rachel end up in hospital? Do they build the hospital set and then we just don't go there throughout the game? Like, that can't be it. Like, somehow we still need to get into James's office and he needs to be distracted. But it's just like, I could see so many possibilities. It makes me want to replay this game a little bit more now, compared to how much I wanted to replay Life is Strange 1 after instantly completing it. Like, I'm good not playing Life is Strange 1 for another 6 to 7 months, but this game, maybe, just maybe. But anyways, that is the video on a game I didn't expect to like as much as I did, especially since I was never the biggest Chloe fan. And this game still hasn't made me a massive fan, but I feel like I understand her just a little bit more. If you like this video, just a little bit, a like and maybe even a subscription would be massively appreciative. And also it would help you see what I do next, which may even be a video on Life is Strange 2, which I am not really looking forward to playing. But hey, maybe, just maybe, I will have my mind changed, as I'm somewhat open to it. As much as any one person could be open to having their mind changed. But I guess we'll see if you subscribe. Also, we're very, very close to 200 subscribers, so that'd be great. Be very, very nice of you. Actually, we may even hit it by the time this video goes out. Who knows? Alright, peace.